The Oklahoma Sooners added another big commitment.
You are Locked On Sooners, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma Sooners. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Sooner Nation? Welcome to Locked On Sooners, and thank you for making Locked On Sooners your first listen every single day. Shout out to all the everydayers out there tuning in. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege for 50% off your first year over at monarchmoney.com. He's Jay Smith of Unfair Sports. I'm John Williams, Sooners Wire at USA Today Sports. And the Oklahoma Sooners earned a big-time commitment in four-star defensive tackle, not over four-star, in four-star defensive tackle, Brian Harris.
Yeah, this is a pretty big pickup out of Mandarin, Florida, Jacksonville, Florida area. Go ahead, John.
Yeah.
Duval.
You
didn't give me my Duval.
My fault.
But he's a good one. I love this pickup. 6'4", roughly just under 300 pounds is where he's at. He's probably over 300 at this point. Most of these recruiting sites, the number they put on him, it's the last time he weighed in which I know he's probably put on some weight. But he is a Rivals 4-star, consensus composite 3-star with all the other rankings, top 500 player. Kid's big. And I think the big thing about him is that, sure, we said 3-star with others, 4-star on the rival side, but his list of offers is something you would see out of a 5-star. Like, every big school wants this kid from Penn State, Michigan, South Carolina, Alabama, right? You've got Auburn, Colorado, you got Nebraska, you got Ole Miss. All the schools that are known for getting big defensive linemen want this kid. And truth be told, I wouldn't be surprised if more give him offers after now he's committed, that he's going to end up shooting up more people's charts because they know the coaches and the staffs that are really good at evaluating. And that's when other teams try to come in and swoop by because they know they see something there that's got to be something special.
The dude is a special talent. He's got a ton of potential. He plays a lot of defensive end for Mandarin, but he's going to be a defensive tackle. But the way he moves is so fluid for his size that it's kind of crazy. Like, he is very athletic and he's able to get around offensive tackles, not just using his power, but he uses his agility and his quickness and his, really good arm technique. And he hand fights very well to get around offensive tackles. And it's pretty impressive for a dude that's 290 pounds. Even if he's playing at his listed 290, it's pretty impressive. When you get him up to 315, 320 and keep him moving the way that he's able to move after you get him into a collegiate strength and conditioning program and agility program, and they continue to work on his body and train him up, he's going to be pretty impressive, man. And I liken him to a guy like Jaden Jackson, who, again, was just a 3-star the spring as he was going through his final visits and recruitment and things like that. And he became a 4-star, but he just moves so well. He's just quick off the line of scrimmage, but he's also powerful as well. He's willing to bull rush the offensive lineman. And he's a guy that, again, has that positional flexibility that you can play him on the outside in 3-man fronts. Brent Venables, he likes to use some diverse fronts sometimes and, might be a base 4-man sometimes where you have him playing inside at defensive tackle or in 3-man fronts. You can play him on the outside and you can play a guy like Trent Wilson on the other side or a David Stone on the other side with a guy like Jaden Jackson at the nose. So there's a lot of potential variations that you can run with a guy like Brian Harris in your defensive line rotation because he's just so strong and big and athletic and quick, and he's going to be a force at the collegiate level. It's just a matter of getting him on the campus now.
Yeah, that's all it is. Get him on the campus, get him strong, get that weight up. He is. Like, when you watch him play, you're like, oh, yeah, this dude does move very well on the inside. That was the one thing that Jaden Jackson did so well, not only being super disruptive, but he moved well. And this is what you're seeing out of Brian Harris. Like you mentioned, John, it's crazy. He'll transition from edge to defensive lineman. Just the fact that this dude's playing edge at 290 like this,
Yeah, it's
and
nuts.
can move like that. Yeah, that's absurd. And that's what Oklahoma's looking for, is guys that can be that versatile. And to me, that's what jumps out the most. Oklahoma obviously wants players that can be moved around on the defensive line, and he's another added piece to that. And so he's the third defensive player that's committed over the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
The Sooners on a roll.
Yeah, man, trending in the right direction. Everything's moving forward on the recruiting trail. You didn't have a defensive recruit committed. It had been 100 days since you'd had a commitment, dating back to Daniel Odom in January. But you got, Nico Jandro got kind of the ball rolling. Then you got Ja'Cory Smith, and now you got Brian Harris. You're trending for Matthew Nelson, an edge rusher out of Arkansas. So your arrow is pointing up on the defensive side of the ball. And again, it's a lot of guys that have big time potential with a lot of big time traits. And Brian Harris is one of those dudes. He's going to make life very easy for Oklahoma's defense because, again, if you can keep linebackers clean with good defensive tackle play, it allows them to play so much more free to go get the ball carrier. They're not having to take on guards as much. And that helped Danny Stutzman, Kip Lewis this last year when Oklahoma's defensive tackle rotation was so much better than what it was the year before. They were able to be so much more disruptive in the run game because you had Jaden Jackson, Dominic Williams, Grayson Halton, and Dejon Terry eating up so much from the interior. That allowed those guys to roam free. It allowed your edges to play a little bit cleaner as well. They're not having to take on double teams as much in the run game because those guys are having to focus so much on the interior. And Brian Harris is another dude that can do that. He creates gravity. He makes people focus their attention on him. He's a dude that he can play in two gaps where he's responsible for both the left and the right of the offensive lineman he's matched up against, or because of his agility and his quickness, like a Grayson Halton, he can one gap for you too and just shoot through the line of scrimmage to try and make plays and force the offensive lineman to seal him off. I'm excited about this one, dude. And I know you're going to look at the star ratings and you're going to be like, oh, he's just a 3-star. Don't let that fool you, please. Trust coaching evaluations here.
When you land
you see when you go watch the dude's highlights, because the guy is really, really good.
When you land a player like that and they become a freshman All-American, all that stuff goes out the window quickly.
Yes.
Now, I'm not saying that Brian Harris will. All I'm saying is that there's very good potential. We saw that with Jaden Jackson. We've seen this happen so many times. R. Mason Thomas was a 3-star. He was one that everybody was like, I don't know if he's going to be any good. He's too much of a tweener. He dealt with some injuries to start. So all naysayers out there and doomers were like, oh, see, there's nothing about him. Then he comes into the SEC and he gets 6 sacks total, 9 for the entire season. He's like, oh, he's the best thing since sliced bread. Thank goodness that he came back for one more year. Yay, we did a great job here. That's what you got to look at. That's what you got to pay attention to. What kind of production can they put on the field? If he's overlooked, that's why he's a 3-star. And then, he's a Rivals 4-star. Keep that in mind as well. And then he goes out there and he's like, yep, y'all underrated me. I'm going to show y'all I should be higher than this. And he outdoes where he's at. You just got yourself a huge win. And I think that Oklahoma did with this one.
Yeah. Got a big time pickup in Brian Harris. The defensive commitments are rolling. Jim Nagy, Brent Venables, the front office staff, the coaching staff are doing a really, really nice job on the recruiting trail. I don't know if you saw my interaction with Jim Nagy last week or earlier this week when he posted a picture of Alex Caruso from the Thunder. And he said, looking for more guys like this on the recruiting trail. And I mentioned, I think Nico Jandro is kind of that guy. And Jim Nagy replied, he is. So like they're looking for a particular type of player right now. And they've got one in Nico, they got one in Ja'Cory Smith, and now they've got one in Brian Harris. Dudes that are just going to be absolutely disruptive and making life incredibly difficult on opposing offenses. But that's going to do it for this special edition of Locked On Sooners. Thanks so much for tuning in, being a part of the show. Subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcasts. Let us know, do you think offense or defense will be the next commitment for Oklahoma? What do you think they're going to land next? We got official visit season coming up. So the recruiting predictions are going to be coming in like crazy. Commitments are going to be coming in like crazy over the next couple of months. So make sure you're tuned in here on Locked On Sooners. Go follow Jay at Unfair Sports. Go check out his channel, Unfair Sports, over on YouTube as well. You can follow me at John9Williams. You can read my work covering the Sooners over at SoonersWire.com. You can follow the show on all of your social media profiles and platforms at Locked On Sooners. But until next time, he's Jay Smith. I'm John Williams. We'll talk to you then. Boomer.
Sooner. Let's go get some more recruits. I
go.
see another one on the horizon.
Let's go.
Duval.